Hey everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Fatima. I'm the Director of Customer Success here at Beautiful.ai. The agenda for today, I'm very excited to be joined by our CEO, Jason Lapp, who will be giving us his insights on the benefits and challenges of implementing generative AI in the workplace. We'll then move into a demo of our latest updates to DesignerBot led by Danny Curtis. He's the Senior Account Manager here at Beautiful. A little bit about Jason. Jason is a seasoned business leader with over 2 decades of experience in growing and managing successful ventures. Prior to his current role at Beautiful, he served as the CEO of KIP, a marketing tech firm that he led to acquisition. He also spent 17 years at WPP Kantar as the Chief Growth and Revenue Officer. With his wealth of experience in leadership and growth, Jason understands the key factors that enable orgs to remain relevant and productive, as well as the challenges and triumphs involved in implementing change. He's keenly aware of the importance of innovation and staying ahead of emerging technologies, such as generative AI, in order to maintain a competitive edge. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Jason. Jason, take it away.
Thank you, Fatima. I wish we could start every meeting with an intro for me. Just kidding. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm excited to talk about this topic of AI in the workplace. Beautiful has been doing this for quite some time, but clearly this topic's on everybody's mind just based on the amount of interest we had for this meeting with customers. And this is a good group for us to get started. Give me 1 second and I'm going to share my screen. All right, so before we get started, I wanted to share a little story that I think all of you can relate to. So this is my mom. And, you know, I talk to my mom once a week on the phone. And during these calls, she likes to talk about things she's seen on the news or she reads about. Often it comes from 60 Minutes. Sometimes she also wants me to fix her iPhone or laptop, but you guys all get it. You know, that banter between the son and mother on a weekly basis, and we're always debating the newest topics. The other day she called me and she was really excited. She jumped right in and started to tell me about this thing she learned about on 60 Minutes, literally, about this thing called ChatGPT and AI. She was excited to tell me about it. She was excited to understand it and really have a discussion. Now, in my head, I'm sitting there thinking, I work for Beautiful.ai, and we've been talking about this for several years now. But loving my mom and being a good son, I quickly moved on and realizing that she was having a light bulb moment. And the light bulb had just gone off. And really for her, the difference between the conversation I had with her 6 months ago and the conversation today was that it went from something that was obscure and completely conceptual to something she can immediately experience. So she had heard about ChatGPT, and basically what we decided was, why don't we go in and write a couple prompts together? We started with the very easy gardening to, you know, growing great tomatoes, and they quickly accelerated into things that were a lot more complex. Her reaction was really this, holy cow, how does it do that? It's like Google, but it actually talks to me. It's so easy. Let's try another prompt and another one. And before you know it, she's envisioning that she can use this to write her emails, that she can use it to pick the next stock she wants to invest in or write a social media post. She basically went from 0 to 100 in matters of minutes. And I'm sharing this story because I think we can all relate to this gap between people who are tech forward or using applications at work and others who are maybe a little bit more timid or scared about the future of technologies. But there's something really to notice in that, important to notice in this, is that when consumers instantly get it, or the value is clear, or they want to embrace new technology, it's an amazing indicator that something systemic and big is about to happen. This conversation with my mom is just one of the many signs that we're in the early stages of experiencing what I like to think about as a cultural and technological shift in the way that we do things. I believe truly that this is the next new big platform and has the potential that web and search and social and mobile did for the way that we ingest information and how we communicate. We're seeing this conversation repeat itself out as we learn more about the applications and use of, the generative AI tools. And the consumer experience of being able to touch and use ChatGPT really brought this whole concept of generative AI to life. In many ways, it sparked a firestorm of different use cases and applications and new companies to solve and answer so many of those difficult daily tasks that we struggle with. We know, in terms of being a company that's building software around this, that the possibilities are limitless, and we're really excited but we're also seeing this new wave of tools that are available today. You can do complex coding, you can create original art, and you can create music. Someone the other day said to me that they were writing prompts trying to write a screenplay in the style of Tina Fey. We've also seen the impact in the stories that are emerging in terms of students using it in education and the debate about whether that's plagiarism or it's right or wrong. And at Beautiful, we're trying to figure out new ways to make your life easier in terms of bring that into presentations. And now with our designer bot, which I think some of you have seen, you can basically create a presentation from a single prompt. That said, when we looked at the registration data, all of you had submitted some details like questions and some information about your usage of generative AI tools. What was interesting is that half of you said that you haven't experienced or used any Gen AI tools. And the other half had said that they had used things like ChatGPT or Beautiful. And if you guys are on this call, we've been pushing a lot of information at you recently about that. But in the meantime, we've been studying AI in the workspace for quite some time. What we see today is a rapid shift, and things are really evolving faster than you can imagine. And in a recent study that we did, we talked to 3,000 business managers in the United States to really understand what is the impact of AI in their personal lives at work, but also across their companies. What we found out is that 93% of managers said that their companies are already using it, and they're using it personally. They're also moving to create budgets inside of their organizations to support AI applications because they believe that the future is here. And then there's this concept of pressure for lack of resources, and they're also telling us that it becomes more important when layoffs happen and they have less resources. And they really believe that it can be something to help them on their daily basis. And then at the end of the day, they also believe that AI-assisted tools are going to help their employees to be better at their jobs. Truthfully, these stats really surprised me. I would have thought we were in more of an early adopter stage, but what 90% plus indicates is that we're already tipping over into the majority in terms of the workforce and companies using these types of products. So while we might also be skipping ahead in the adoption curve, what we also learned from these people is that they're really in the phase of testing applications and focused on educating employees on what AI is and how to use it properly at work. So for those of you that haven't used it, there's still a lot of time for you to catch up. So if you're in that half that's never used AI-assisted tools, here's my short list of companies I believe you should check out. All of these companies today have real applications that have use cases that you can instantly use at work. We're going to talk about Beautiful and give you a little bit of a demo later, but if you're using Notion at work, Notion is an amazing product in terms their AI is really strong at summarizing large amounts of content. Jasper, if you're not familiar with it, is sort of become the go-to for copywriting for things like docs and blogs and texts and emails. OpenAI is the parent company of ChatGPT, and that gives you an opportunity to actually have a iterative and real conversation with the AI itself. WordTune I like because it's similar to the concept of a Grammarly, or it gives you the ability to have a web a browser integration that allows you to do quick writing and changing in the style of what you're working on. And then GitHub Copilot is something that is really popular at the moment because they've figured out how to leverage assistive AI for doing coding. So you can have sort of an assistant in terms of writing code and building software. The other big popular one is Bing. I managed to get on the wait list. You guys should check it out. It's sort of a new view on using search terms and being able to see side by side what search gives you and what AI can bring to the conversation. The interesting thing about these companies, in terms of the things that I see people doing today at work, is the primary use case for most of these is around the idea of leveraging assistive writing. And this is really because a lot of these tools allow you to do tasks that, if it's summarizing, putting it in bullet points, changing the tone, rewriting in a different language, it allows you to have those things that can allow you to do tasks that typically would have taken a long time, but allows you to do something that's a little bit more brainstorming-esque in terms of trying to get your ideas on paper. At Beautiful, we're taking the assistive writing and we're combining it with the design AI that you already know and layering in logic to build visual stories to really help take a lot of that heavy lift out of the work for you. Part of that is really about this idea of how do you get to visual brainstorming when you've got an idea or a thought and you don't know how to get past that writer's block or that blank slate. Really what we're trying to do is speed up that process so that we can get you 75, 85% there from a single prompt, and then you can continue to use Beautiful in the editor to improve the output of what you're doing. So what does this fast adoption mean? Where does it leave us? This is another question that we dug in with our survey research, and I think the logic behind this is that platform changes and adoption of new technologies often have a ripple effect, and sometimes it's scary. One of the biggest debates that we're hearing is around this idea of, improving skills and having different skill requirements for existing jobs that involve using AI assistance, but also the subject of job replacement. In fact, most of the research showed that, this is top of mind, but it's also a complex issue. We see that 66% of managers say that they would replace people with AI tools if the output was comparable. Now, where AI is today, there's a big gap between comparable because AI requires the human brain to check its accuracy and ensure that the quality is where it needs to be. And a lot of these tools require, a human interaction to improve what it has as an output. We also see that managers are saying that they can do more using AI when they have less resources, sort of referring back to my earlier comment about how people are using it in a situation where they have layoffs or a lack of resources to get their jobs done. But we also see that around this subject of jobs is that 75% of managers say their employees are concerned for their jobs because of the newness of the technology and their uncertainty of how it will impact what they need to do to grow. So we see AI evolving quickly, and we also feel that it requires human knowledge and experience to put it to work and make it the most useful and accurate. So this employment topic is a really interesting debate, especially because as an operator and thinking about how to have a profitable growing business, the idea that assistive tools can reduce expensive resources at a fraction of the cost is very compelling. So it's a hard thing to understand how impactful it can be in the business right away. So when I start to think about, what is a successful path to embracing AI and in the workplace, and what does that look like over the next 12 months? I think the one thing that jumps out at me quickly is this is a thing that's here to stay. It's not an if, it's a when you will use it. So we should all be embracing it and developing real experiences using the tools that are available so that we can test and learn what works for us that improves our lives, but also better understand how it works, and how to, basically build knowledge and experiences that we can leverage to move forward. This idea of combining human experience and AI together really will give you a 1 + 1 = 3 when you can see that the impact of having better starting points and more time and energy that you can create new and better work is there. And then the last thing I'll say on this topic is that we're going to see an expansion. But we talk about what does it do to the old jobs? We're going to see an expansion of new jobs that are related to this in the workplace. One of the things that we've started talking a lot about is what is a prompt engineer, and that's a title that I hadn't heard of 8 months ago, and when we were starting to figure out what do we need to build around our AI development. The other thing is that not before long we're going to have a chief AI officer in every company, and that's maybe something that any of you might be. Key takeaways from this is Gen AI is changing the way we write and communicate at work. It's something we have to embrace. I would say when you're thinking about the products and tools and applications, think of them as an assistant that's going to help you work 10 times faster and produce better results. And if you're not using AI at work, it's time to jump in before you fall too far behind. So I know this is broad, but what we're trying to get at is there's a new experience that AI is impacting in the workplace. It's a little scary because we don't know where the application will be, but it's also very easy to use and something that even my mom can do. So what we're going to do next is Danny's going to show you how easy it is to use with Beautiful and give you a real articulation of something you can take away from this meeting and you can use on your own.
Thanks, Jason. That was super insightful. I love how you said that we need to think of it as an assistant to make our lives easier. So it really isn't that scary. It really is there to help us. So Danny is now going to be moving into the demo portion to kind of teach you how here at Beautiful, we're leveraging the power of generative AI in presentations and design. I do want to note that here, Beautiful, we believe that AI can and should be make it easier to do beautiful work. This means that we've built the intelligence of a designer directly into the tool. And with our updates to DesignerBot, now more than ever, Beautiful.ai will make it easier and faster to create beautiful presentations. So with that, take it away, Danny.
Thank you, Fatima. Thank you, Jason. Hi, everyone. I'm Danny. I'm the Senior Account Manager here at Beautiful.ai, where for years now, we've been helping individuals and organizations create great-looking presentations that are branded in a fraction of the time with the assistance of assistive design AI. Now, with some of our new innovations like DesignerBot, we're adding a couple more innovations into that, particularly assistive presentation and content generation, as well as AI assisted writing and rewriting. So this is going to be fun to go through today. And as mentioned, really what this DesignerBot feature, where just to provide a lay of the land, you can see my screen. I've just opened up Beautiful.ai, and where I'm going to navigate to is this create new presentation prompt here up at the top. And down here, you're going to see this purple box that says DesignerBot. We've got our little robot friend. And now when I can click on him, this is where I can now add a text prompt and kind of lean into this generative AI, where based on my text prompt, DesignerBot is going to go ahead and actually build me a presentation. So Jason and Fatima kind of mentioned this. Think of this now as, an assistant. He's working with us, somebody that I can throw my ideas at, And really, DesignerBot is going to, you know, kind of magically build out a framework for the idea. It's going to put visuals to kind of my text, right? So a lot of people have questions about, and Jason was mentioning kind of, you know, people specializing in prompts. Prompts are a big thing when we're talking about AI. And being more specific in your prompts are going to yield more specific results. So, you know, the way that it works up here, we've got some examples at the bottom. It's really starting with kind of the general idea. What is it that I want to create? What is it that I want to kind of put on the page or visualize? Here we've got some examples, like I want to create an investor pitch deck, right? More specifically would be for a Series A SaaS company in the B2C fintech space, right? The more specific you can get, the better. But you can also say, you know, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Give me a kind of a summary of that. So pitch deck, sales presentations, overviews, you know, these are the types of things that it's going to be kind of listening out for and crafting around. So as I was thinking about this, I've got a picture of a skier here on the wall. I was thinking about kind of an event, and if I have to present a summary of kind of major event, and I was thinking of specifically the Olympics, and more specifically the 2010 winter, let's see, Olympic, and I'm just going to write a summary. So my prompt is 2010 Winter Olympics summary. So I'm going to hit generate presentation. I'm going to select my theme just to ensure that everything that I create is going to be in the correct branding. And now I'm setting DesignerBot to go to work, understanding that what I'm looking for is a summary of this event. And the great thing that it's just integrated with the Beautiful AI ecosystem. So all of this is going to be applied to our smart slides, where it's going to be setting up a framework that I can instantly have, instead of me kind of coming to this presentation, looking at it for the first time, just a blank screen ahead of me and trying to kind of think, okay, where do I go from here? So you can see it's generated. What do we have here? 11 slides. And I'm just gonna hit play and kind of show everybody what it came up with this prompt, 2010 Winter Olympics Games summary. So we're starting off with a title page here. We've got kind of the announcement of what we're talking about. And as we move in, okay, we're starting with a timeline slide, and it's pulling in information about the opening ceremony. So we get a timeline here talking about the opening ceremony, some different events that happened there. It's giving us a breakdown of the venues. So the opening ceremony of the 2010 Winter Olympics was held on February 12th in Vancouver. Competition venues, the Winter Olympics were held there, and the closing ceremonies were held there as well. So kind of just setting the stage for a framework, talking about kind of the setting of like where it would be. Moving into athletes. So it's giving me kind of a breakdown of different athletes that participated in the events. It's talking about the weather conditions. Okay, so maybe stopping and pausing and kind of getting a better sense for Vancouver itself and what weather conditions can look like there. Pulling together kind of a word cloud surrounded about kind of competition and that sort of thing. Notable medalists. So it's pulling in some information about Shaun White, who won gold in the snowboard halfpipe event. Won gold, Tessa won gold in the ice dancing, and Apollo Ono, the speed skater. Pulling in quotes. So you can kind of see it's visualized this in a series of different types of slides. We've seen timelines, we've seen kind of icons with text, we've seen photos with text. It's giving us a quote. And as we kind of head to the back of it, Medal of the Olympic Spirit, that is not the medal, so we will be switching that out, but just kind of focusing in on the spirit here, the symbol of excellence and determination. Giving us kind of a place to kind of encapsulate what the motto is, but kind of coming to the end of our summary deck. The closing ceremony now, putting that toward the end of the presentation and kind of ending things with a few notable moments. Okay, great. So that was our 11-page. Based on that text, that is what the framework that was thrown up here of a typical summary deck. And again, at a quick glance, you can see we started from kind of an intro slide to jumping into a timeline, icons with text, ending, closing it out with kind of closing ceremonies and that sort of thing. So from a designer perspective, now what I can do when I get back into this presentation, I can say, okay, there was a lot of things I liked about it. There were some clear things that stood out, like images and things like that, that I know that I have to switch out. But what's really interesting for me is did a great job of getting something on the page that is sparking other ideas that I can start running with. Most notably, what I found what was interesting is that it pulled in these images of the athletes. And so this is a great time for me to actually come in here and say, well, this will be a great place for me to kind of dig in and go a little deeper on. Now, again, the nice thing about this applying directly to our smart slides is they're instantly editable. So I can just come in here and using our smart templates, I could say, I don't want 5, but maybe I'll focus kind of on these 3 athletes. I'm going to put them in frames, do a little bit of design work here. With a couple clicks, I'm going to slide this header over, kind of readjust this, and maybe we'll change the color in the background, right? So this is kind of a cool setup for me to say, okay, yeah, let's focus on a few of these athletes here. I can come in and readjust these photos. But Apollo Ono stuck out. I haven't heard his name or thought about him in a while. Maybe it would be fun to kind of take a step into, maybe a bio of what he's all about, or what his accomplishments were. So what I can also lean into DesignerBot for is I can go to add slide here on the right. And at the slide level, I can come down here. I've got this little purple box and it says make slide with AI. So instead of generating an entire presentation, I can ask it to, I'm going to say Apollo Ono bio. Oh, let's spell his first name correctly. Apollo Ono bio. And let's see what this gives me here. So the amazing life story of Apollo Ono. Awesome. So here's his photo. It's pulled up a bio here. He is an American short track speed skater and an 8-time Olympic medalist. And then it's going on to some of his achievements. So from here, again, just kind of generating this idea of me throwing, this is kind of what I want in the page. Maybe I want to take a little step deeper into this specific athlete. It's generating kind of a summary for him. Now I can even take it a step deeper and say, well, this is his bio right here. I can click on this block of text. And again, we see our little DesignerBot friend here in purple. I can click on the bot there. And here's where I can access our assistive writing AI. So I could ask DesignerBot to take this text and just simply rewrite the text, right? So it can take kind of all that information, but rewrite it. And so here we see Apollo Ono is an iconic American short track speed skater, 8-time Olympic medalist. I can also use this to come in and change the text length to be longer, to be shorter, simpler to understand. So let's see if I can make it longer, if it pulls in any more information for me. Okay, so more information, and in 2019 was honored by his induction into the United States Olympic Hall of Fame. But you can do this to change the tone. We can make it more playful. You can write it, in the style of Shakespeare. Many of you have used kind of rewriting AI, and this is kind of the immediate application. So here we see the amazing and totally legendary Apollo Ono, right? Kind of more playful copy here, right? Wow, talk about a champ. So when it comes to me, what it's doing is it's allowing me to stay in sort of a creative frame of mind, right? And Beautiful AI's mission has always been to decrease that time between idea and execution. And we've been able to do that for so long with our smart templates and smart slides, which allow you to not have to focus on, lining things up perfectly or snapping lines together. And with this new innovation of DesignerBot, it allows me to kind of stay free flowing, throw ideas out, and it's going to kind of organize ideas and put up frameworks that I can still then go back and iterate on top of. But in the time that I've been talking, and Fatima, maybe what has been 10 minutes or so, you can see that I've generated 12 slides, which are just giving me a really good idea for a presentation that I'll come back and still work on, but brought me a whole heck of a lot farther than me just starting from a blank screen. So with that, I'm going to turn things back over to Fatima and we'll jump into our Q&A session. But thanks for checking out DesignerBot.
Thank you so much, Danny. You're absolutely right. And I am always amazed at the power of this tool. I love how you said that using DesignerBot allows you to remain free-flowing, work through your ideas, creates that framework for you. And you were hinting at the end where you were saying you could just kind of focus on your content. You don't have to fiddle with the designs, the layouts, the little line that moves here or there. The AI is taking care of all that for you so that you can focus on what's important, which is, your ideas. So we're going to move into the Q&A portion. I'll start from the top. Folks, feel free to drop your questions in the chat. So one of the ones that we came in the survey, I'll take this one. Do you have any tips, guides to make prompts better? So Danny did a great job of tackling the basic versus advanced prompts. Next week, we'll be emailing like a prompt guide. So just look out for that. It'll be in the weekly marketing emails. And if you don't get it, feel free to reach out to me and the team, and we'll be happy to shoot that over your way. The next question, Jason, I'll pass this one to you. What's the best way to become educated about generative AI?
I think it's a good question. I think there's sort of two ways I'd answer it. The first being is just get out and use it. There's a bunch of free tools out there, so people can experience it and get educated. I'd almost argue there's too many. If you're on Instagram or TikTok, there's many lists of new productivity tools using generative AI, and some of those are relevant, but they're a good source for finding tools that can apply to different use cases that you have. I think the other end of this is, most people I see are at the beginning of the learning curve. So they're experiencing it with ChatGPT, or they're experiencing it with something like Notion or Beautiful. And one of the things that I think is really important at this stage, if you're trying to educate yourself, is really learning how to write prompts. So I'd recommend you focus on the language you're using, in terms of like, what is the output? It's very similar to me in terms of the early days of search, when the prompts required more context and direction to get a more accurate and useful output. Using things like pluses and commas was something that was not really well known. But even as you saw what Danny was doing, one of the things that we do know is if you add context or layer language together, you will get different levels of output.
Thanks. Next question that came up: what are the cybersecurity and data implications of generative AI?
Yeah, that's a tricky one, in the sense that a lot of the rapid innovation and products coming into the market, today, I think one of the things we'll see is, industry organizations and companies like OpenAI, who have been studying this, focusing on better practices and what's important in terms of, in understanding, like, how do you implement this at work? The majority of the products are using non-personal and non-private data, so they're sourcing publicly available information and sources of using large language models to look at large data sets. But I think this is going to be a hot topic from here on out. I know at Beautiful, we're taking it really importantly, because the majority of our customers require us to meet, already require us to meet security compliance and standards that they need to meet in order to work with us.
What is the best way to use the presentations you already have and enhance them with Beautiful AI?
Yeah. This is a pretty common question that we get. A lot of kind of new customers will come to us, and they'll have been, rooted in PowerPoint for many years, or Google Slides, and they'll say, hey, I've got this 30-slide deck. Can I send it to you guys, and you guys sort of infuse it with Beautiful AI, or do whatever you do, wave your magic wand, and now it's got animation and things move. And that's not how it works at Beautiful AI. We have our own sort of software, our own product that we rely on smart slide templates, where you would start from using our templates, and it's those templates that have that assistive design element built into it. So it's not so much taking an existing deck and infusing it with Beautiful AI. It would be starting from our smart slide templates. Using those templates, that's really where you can iterate on those in the future. That being said, we do have integrations with PowerPoint, where you can, we have a plugin that you can be in PowerPoint and still access Beautiful AI to create, use our smart slides to quickly make branded, great looking presentations. But ultimately, you would want to start creating in Beautiful AI to achieve, the animation and kind of the smart slides and the kind of the aesthetic that Beautiful AI can offer.
Cool, thanks. Jason, I'm going to pass one back to you. Do you think that the tech and the design bot can be applicable to other documents? We can think of this as just expanding to other formats and things of that sort.
Yeah, I mean, we've long at Beautiful long believed that our design automation and AI was applicable across other formats of other document formats, whether that's web pages or documents or blog posts or marketing materials. We've stayed focused on presentations and content creation and visual storytelling. But even as you saw that list that I produced earlier, there are already a lot of other applications that are applying it in those different spaces. And we see it with announcements from Google and Microsoft that they intend to use assistive writing in some of the early features that they're going to release that involve Gen AI.
And then you mentioned the future. While I still have you, what are some other AI updates that we can expect?
I mean, we've got a pretty big roadmap. There's so many things we can do. However, one of the bigger things from a company and compliance standpoint for that our customers want. So Danny showed you really a individual use case in terms of rapid content creation, but at a customer level, a lot of customers want to understand how we're going to apply those same language models to pre-existing sets of data that we have for them. So if you can imagine a subset of presentations that you already have, how do we apply those models to that data in addition to other sources of data to make what Danny showed you even more powerful?
And then this is a spicy question that came in, and you talked about this a little bit during the first half of the event. At what extent is AI helpful more than harmful?
This is the rise against the machines type question that we're getting? Well, I think we've all seen the Terminator documentary, so we know what's coming. I would say it's not that. No, I would say I think AI still for many people is this kind of like, what is it, buzzword and the fear surrounding it. But really what AI in the workplace is it's automating repetitive and tedious tasks. So I think there is a lot of fear of, is it coming for me? But I think what it's coming for is those tedious and repetitive tasks. And I think that if anything, this is the most incredible tool that people will have in their arsenal to stay in that creative mind flow and not get bogged down with so many things that pull us away from being creative or telling our story. And again, kind of mentioning before, our whole goal is to shorten that time frame between idea and execution, and DesignerBot and generative AI is here to continue to provide efficiencies in that area. It's our collaborator that allows us to set up framework that we can throw ideas at and that it can build for us and work with us. So I see it more as, a collaborative tool in that respect, but it's sort of cleaning up the little, the frustrating, get this to line up perfectly with that, or do this again, or, figure out, I've done this 3 times, figure it out the 4th time type of a thing. And so in that way, I think it can be, really, really helpful.
So to bring it back to what Jason had said earlier, use it as an assistant. It sounds like it's really, that's the way to kind of view it. We had some questions from the audience. Jason, I can.
Yeah, there was just a couple while you were talking that I was pulling out. One of the questions was, can we fully trust statistics in the facts the AI design bot finds? It's a really good question. And if you saw Danny's presentation, and I've created thousands of these already, the job of you is to review and understand accuracy in terms of what the output is today. So really what we're teeing up is the framework we're taking the assistive writing technology and putting it in there, which is sourced via OpenAI's API. So it's the information, I would say, is something that you want to review and make sure you agree with it down to the language on the page. Really, we see the AI as a way to structure content in a visual story, but also give you really strong starting points. We don't believe today that it's giving you, the highest level of accuracy in terms of some of the content. I think that's something that we'll have to continue to work on, but we believe will improve quickly as the language models learn more and they release new levels of sophistication around them. There was a couple others in here that I'll just call out, and then I'll pass it back to you, Fatima. There is a question that says, what are we using on the back end? We do source OpenAI's GPT-3. Moving to GPT-4 is their newest version of that model. So we're leveraging that on the back end and then building it into the Beautiful platform. That also includes DALL-E, which is something that I don't know if you covered it, Danny, but DALL-E is a way to do image creation as well. So both of those are available in the product. There's another question. Can we control how many slides the AI design bot creates? Today, no. We've sort of predetermined the language around how many slides and what's the structure. We're looking at ways to build newer features to layer in context in terms of, do you want it in a certain, if our smart slides, do you want a particular smart slide to display a particular part of the information? I think the combination of create a presentation and then use add slides is one way to do it. The deck I shared with you, I wrote completely using an add slide function. So I opened up a template of just a headline page and I hit add slide, and every single slide I created, I wrote a prompt, said, give me the structure of this information. I did have to replace the picture of my mom. It gave me somebody else's mom, but that's where we are today.
I saw another question about languages, and yes, we can use our writing function to translate into different languages as well.
Well, I think that's it for this session for now. I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us. Everyone here should have access to the designer bot. Give it a whirl. You just have to click create presentation, hit that purple button, create your prompt. We do have support articles. We'll be emailing a webinar link at the end or sometime in the next few days with the prompt guide and the FAQ to the designer bot. So please give it a whirl, folks. Send your feedback in. All of us on the call, especially, and the folks on the product team, we all look at it. So yeah, thanks for coming. Thank you, Jason and Danny. I appreciate the time you took to chat with us today. And yeah, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day.
Thanks, Fatima. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Take care, everyone.